Coach, with all the new faces that you guys added some pieces in the offseason, graduate transfers and whatnot, and your freshmen coming in. What's it like the first couple of days when you actually get out there and get around these guys? What's your best way to go about making sure that you're dealing with the people you need to deal with along the way and getting comfortable with everybody on the field for the first time?
Yeah, I think, a lot of that starts, in the summertime. Those guys were here training for the summer, so you get a chance to get the new guys acclimated with the older guys over a 2-month period, and it's really a time where we're limited in terms of how much we can be around them. So I think it's a great time for the players to bond. And that's the stuff that we promoted is those guys building the unity that they need to as new teammates and everybody pulling in the same direction. And then, as coaches, we try to promote that. And then obviously we're all going to be in the same building and on the same fields here for the next 30 days, and we're going to spend a lot of time together. So that's a great question, and that's a big part of what we want to build. We want to develop every player during training camp, and we want to build unity within our unit and our team. So that's going to be big.
Heading into your second season here, are there a few things maybe that you would like to say? I know you guys don't like to get specific at this point, but a few areas you'd like to see your defense as a whole improve on, just generically, things that you have in your mind heading into camp?
Yeah, I think we're at the end of the day we want to limit explosive plays. We want to be disruptive. We want to create TFLs. We want to create sacks. We want to create takeaways. I think we have the guys on defense to score on defense. I think we have the ability, if we take the ball away, to try and score. Whether that be a block field goal like we did in the bowl game, or interception returns, those sorts of things. So just kind of add to the disruption and keep eliminating explosive plays. And I'm looking for the depth to increase. I think that's something we set out to do with this recruiting class, with the transfers, with the guys we brought in mid-year. All of that has been set up so that we can improve our depth and improve our competition. I think when we do that, we'll get better play. So really, just kind of focusing on the same things that we focused on. We want to play really hard. We want to tackle well. We want to get after the ball. And, we want to be really good fundamentally. We want to be good coaches. We want our guys to be equipped with the tools that they need to make plays. And when you have competition in place, everybody gets better.
Again, too, with the added with Deontay Anderson, Nick Watkins, these guys that are added in their secondary, does Garrett Davis kind of get it's hard to probably forget Garrett Davis, but does he get lost a little bit in the offseason conversation about key pieces to the defense, do you think, heading into the season?
No, not at all. Yeah, I think I think it's great that we got those guys, and again, that goes back to that same deal as we set out and felt like we really played 3 safeties and 3 corners last year. How do we create the best competition, the best depth? And I think we've got the numbers to do that now. But we're expecting Garrett to have a really big year for us. I mean, he's got a lot of experience. He played essentially nickel 2 seasons ago. Last year was his first year back at safety. So this year being his second year in a row there. He's played a lot of football. He's made a lot of big plays. We're just looking for him to have that type of year. I think that he wants to have that consistent year where it's game in, game out. You see him playing the way he's capable of, and I think he will.
Coach Applewhite said that he thinks his conference is the toughest conference in football. Is there anybody in the conference who stands out to you who might be one of y'all's biggest competitors throughout the season?
I'm not going to bite on that. They're all good, but I agree. I agree, but no, it is a good league. There's no doubt about it. So you really have no choice in this business but to look at them one at a time. I mean, obviously you spend time in the off season, looking at the guys that you have to play every year and you do all that. But this time of year right now, it's about development of our players, and then at some point we'll turn that focus to our first opponent in Rice and go from there.
Coach, with number 10, Ed Oliver, with all the attention he's going to draw on a play-by-play basis, how creative and how mad can you get with being able to create havoc with him with the attention he's going to draw this year?
Yeah, I think there's 2 good things going on. The one you mentioned, obviously, that Ed is a heck of a player, and so I think with that being said, we also have a lot of other guys that we feel are capable of being big-time playmakers. So. I don't know if I know the attention is going to be on Ed. That's going to be obvious. If you're an offensive coordinator, game planning, they're going to put their attention on him. But it is our job, as you mentioned, to try to find enough spots and enough creative ways to get him in position to make plays, and we work hard at doing that. But I also think that if all the attention is on Ed, that it will open up some things for some of our other guys as well.
Coach, I know you've already spoke to the transfers that have come in the secondary a little bit, but I just wanted to see if you could talk about combining those guys with your returning players. Where can we expect to see improvements in the secondary this season? What are we doing different to cut down on some of the yards given up?
Well, I think some of the things that, again, I think you focus on trying to make every individual better. I'm going to keep going back to that. I hate to sound like a broken record, but really that's, whether people call it the process or whatever, at the end of the day, let's get every individual better. So how can we go ahead and do that? Well, if they know that, I think they know now with the depth that we have that if they slip up, they're probably not going to play. And I think we were probably in a situation at times last year where we didn't have that. So first off, we have that. I think the second thing that we did was when we were able to add a 10th coach, we split them up. We added a safeties coach and a corners coach. I think so now we have, if there's 16 guys in a room being coached by one guy and a graduate assistant, now they're split up. There's 8 and 8. So I think the combination of the competition and then the coaching specific to their techniques. Now those guys have to come together at times, and Paul Williams and Lamar Morgan do a great job of working together. They have to come together because there's communication and all that. But when you're talking about specific techniques and specific things, it's probably better that they're in a room getting that stuff. So I think the combination of the competition and the fact that we have a corners coach and a safeties coach now is I'm hopeful that you'll see big improvement there.
Coach, two things on Ed. One, what can he do to be better this year? Because I know he and you and everybody wants him to always strive for that. And about the player that he is, so many components go into being great: drive, preparation, motivation, all those things. Where do you think what makes him great comes from?
Well, I think he's not satisfied, and he wants to be better. So you see that with the way he works, with the way he worked in the spring, with the way he works in the summer. How he can get better really is just how they all can get better. I mentioned it with Garrett, but you're just trying to be able to do it better, harder, and longer. You know what I mean? If you had, if you were graded as a plus in 70% of your plays last season, then this year you want it to be 80. Whatever it is. So I think that's what we're striving for with all our guys. We're just striving for them to be able to be consistent over however many games we end up playing, and we want to play as many as we can. So I think that's what we're looking for. I think that's what he's looking for, and that's what we'll focus on. Like I said, he's not satisfied. He's not satisfied. He wants to continue to get better, and like I said, he worked harder this spring than he did last spring, and he worked harder this summer than he did last summer, and he's always worked hard. So to me, I just expect him. It's just his drive. It's just his drive to want to be better. I mean, that's he's got obviously a ton of ability, but I think that's what separates him.
Mark, this offseason, Major was speaking to a group, and he was asked about the secondary, and his words were he thought at times it was soft in terms of maybe how they played, in terms of being physical and aggressive. You add up another corner who's 6'2", along with Isaiah. You don't really get that very often. How much does that play into what you'll be able to do, and what is that mindset now about being more aggressive and being a lot more physical at the line? Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of that's going to come from experience. When you talked about the guys that we had returning who played for us last year, was really Isaiah and Alex, and that was their first year. It was Isaiah's first year on defense. It was Alex's first year playing here. Anywhere I've ever been, a player's second year at a position is always a lot better than his first year. So I think just starting with those two guys, I think Kadarian Smith had a good spring, and he's a guy that's been around here for a while now. So I'm expecting him to be in the mix. Javian was injured last year and had a good spring. Again, expecting that from him, and that's why we went out and got an experienced guy in Nick. So I think I just think the fact of who we have in the room. Just really will change that mindset. The guys will have to compete. It will be a fight. It'll be a fight for reps, and we're going to need them all. But I just think that mentality. I think having Paul Williams, the coach in the corners, is a guy that I'm comfortable with. That we worked together for 10 years, and I've seen what he's done wherever he's been, even before he was with me. He's put out NFL DBs at every place and every stop that he's been. So I think he'll do a great job with them.
A guy you're very familiar with, Mark, Darian from Miami. Yep. The kid that you recruited and saw then to now How's that development been, and what do you expect his kind of role to be this year?
You know, Darian, I had him for 2 years. His second year, he got hurt. It was where he had an ACL injury and missed that. But as a freshman, the thing that stood out about him was he was really smart. You rarely try to ask a freshman to play multiple spots in multiple packages. And by the time he was a sophomore, he was our starting outside linebacker, our backup inside linebacker, and our rush end on a third down package. So he's a guy that. He's really bright, and he gets football, and he's tough, physical guy. He's more of an inside backer now than an outside backer. If you're asking me what the difference was from when he was there, probably a little bigger now in terms of that. But like I said, just high football IQ, tough physical guy, good teammate, easy to get along with, has fit in really well in our room. So it's been good.